Hey guys, what's up? It is your boy. No, sorry, terrible introduction, but it is me, Lima. So I want to talk to you about another deck, and this one is called Air Power. As you can see, VDV and Coastal, and it is a fantastic deck. I haven't actually even filled it up, but to be honest, I didn't think I need to. Potentially, maybe another helicopter, but let's have a look at it, and I'm going to talk to you about what this deck is all about. So it's a good deck. I've been really enjoying it. A lot, to be honest, and the focus of it is Russian air power. So you might have already seen a video, a good battle, where I deployed two of these at the start and we absolutely decimated their opening battle. I'm actually going to put a link up here for you now. So yeah, this deck is a lot of fun. It is very good for infantry, very good for helicopters and air, and for reconnaissance, but terrible for armor. And you know what? The armor is not. It is terrible, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You can get away with. Yeah, you can get away with these tanks, right? And in all fairness, that's the great thing about Russia. They're so versatile that even a deck centered around something like air power or helicopters or whatever still has decent firepower in every category. So I'm going to start the opposite way. We're going to look at the air tab first. So as you can see, I've maxed out the points literally to the brim. I'm 5 points away from the absolute maximum. So as I've already discussed, we've got these TU-22 M3s. Gorgeous looking plane. I mean, I absolutely love this skin. If you guys can try this skin out, then I highly recommend it. It makes it very, I don't know, sexy, to be honest. Good little shark mouth there. Better than the boring skins. Anyway, enough about skins. What we want to talk about is its actual effectiveness. So these missiles, cruise missiles, they are firstly phenomenal because they do a huge amount of damage. They've got a very decent blast radius as well, 100 meters and good penetration. So this will one-shot tanks if you manage to hit it accurately. Fantastic missiles. Also, let's look at their speed. So they are interceptable, but their speed is 1,800. So almost, when it gets to 2,000, they can no longer be intercepted. So when you fire 3 of these things, especially, you know, not too deep, the chances are at least 2 of them are going to get through. I think it's quite possible that all 3 will actually hit their targets, obviously depending if the enemy's got radar on it, etc. But these 3 massive, look at them, they're huge. These humongous missiles tend to actually hit all 3, if not, then almost definitely 2, and if not, then at least definitely 1. And again, if you fire 6 of these, i.e. get both aircraft out at the same time, that's going to be a lot of damage, right? So yeah, these are absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend people just trying them out for good fun. I used to have them in the cluster bomb setup, so clean, just clusters, and also very, very effective at killing stuff. However, chances are it's not going to make it home, which is the downside. When you fire these 3 things, this aircraft is almost guaranteed to make it home alive, and it is supersonic with 5% ECM as well. Great bit of kit, 25 health. Very, very good aircraft. So yeah, highly recommend it for basically for all usage. My air superiority fighter, I've had to cheap out on it. So as you can see, I'm almost maxing the budget out completely, and the Su-35 is what I have as the air superiority fighter, but obviously it's not decked out to the max because I've tried to keep it as cheap as possible. It has 5% ECM by default. Of course, you can upgrade that, but like I can't afford that. So it does also make it 315 points. 260 points for this fighter is fantastic. You've got 2 missiles of 9 kilometer range. Let's just put it on this view again. So 9 kilometers, that's the longest a missile can fire from an aircraft. Obviously air to air, sorry, just to be very specific there. And these are actually quite good. They don't always hit, but if they do, fantastic. Basically almost down an aircraft. Most aircraft are 20 health. So yeah, 1 shot away. So you leave them on 1 HP, which is a shame. I wish it was 20, but that's how the cookie crumbles. And we've got 2 R-77s. Now these are really good missiles. Big fan of these. They will hopefully finish something off. But the great thing is the fact that they fire at 9 kilometers, which means that you can shoot and not risk anyone trying to shoot back at you, which is obviously the biggest perk. All in all, for 260 points, this is really decent. Very helpful against drones, and to be honest, I've seen it do quite a lot of damage, especially if somebody else brings out some air attacks as well. So yeah, this is the air superiority fighter. Just want to have a look at this skin. That is a pretty cool skin. I'm actually going to keep that. I like that a lot. Let's save it. SU-30 SM. What's this skin? Basically, it is literally identical. Any markings on the tail that are different? A Negatron. That is literally the same. Alright, cool. Anyway, enough faffing about. These are super cool as well. These have KH-29's TD air-to-ground missiles. And they're cruise missiles. And you think, what use is a 4-kilometer cruise missile, right? That isn't very far at all. You're right. Apart from what you do with this, you get it low altitude. Again, I've got lots of videos where I use these. Huge fan. Obviously, usually I don't have 2 in the deck. I only have 1. But again, this is an air-heavy deck. And yeah, low altitude. Get them to close range. Supersonic, of course, after burners on. Once you press them to fire, the plane automatically rises up, and these fire in super duper quick succession. After they're fired, back to base, well, you can queue that up, obviously, and low altitude. And then that makes your survivability of these things actually pretty good. Definitely not, you know, not 100% by any means. I'd say closer to 60, 65, again, depending how switched on the enemy is with their radar, depending if they've got Pack 2s or Pack 3s. But in all honesty, this is a fantastic bit of kit. What's great as well is the usage of this. This, you want to use it for firing against enemy arty, but more importantly, for enemy anti-aircraft fire. So Patriots. So obviously a Patriot, once it gets destroyed, the terminal guidance for some reason deletes itself and it stops chasing the aircraft, basically. Or either way, it just makes it a lot less effective. So once you destroy the Patriot as well, that missile is going to possibly lose track of the aircraft. So yeah. Now, the best thing about these missiles is that they cannot be intercepted. So remember earlier I said this interceptable speed is 2000. This is obviously faster than that. And these are, yeah, super rapid. It doesn't give your enemy a lot of time to react at all. Super good on small maps, especially. And on big maps too, actually. It's just a fantastic bit of kit. I've got them set up with 4 missiles each. You can, if you wish, put another 2 sets, giving you 6. But I find that's a bit overkill, to be honest. You don't need any, you know, anti-air missiles. Really, it's just overkill. This is a quick strike, withdraw kind of plane. For under 300 points as well, it does a fantastic amount of damage. Not as much as this, but still fantastic. The only downside to these missiles is that even though they've got a big blast radius, to actually kill something you have to pretty much hit it spot on or close to spot on, I found. So, very good to be used in the combination with snipers that you might have in the back lines or something like that. But also even better to be used when the Patriot or the arty has just fired. So as soon as it fires, these have a pretty good fuel tank, so you can leave this hovering in reserve, low altitude, close to your spawn, and then as soon as you see something firing, that's when you deploy these. Get it into action. It's going to hit it before they've got time to shoot and scoot, so before they have time to change position. Brilliant bit of kit. Now, a fantastic aircraft is the Su-34. I absolutely love these, and you know what? They actually do look better in their default paint scheme. I love this little plane. It is such a gorgeous plane, isn't it? I mean, wow. Cute little duckling. That's what the Russians call it, by the way, a duck. That's the nickname for it, because as you can see, it's got a beautiful little duck sort of head with the bill here. So yeah, very appropriate name for it. The setup that I run it in always is 2 incendiary. I always struggle with that word. 2 incendiary bombs. 4 big boy HE bombs and 6 cluster bombs too. As you've noticed, they're all high drag, which means that you can fire this thing, well, drop the bombs at low altitude, which means that you don't have to pop up. Radar is very unlikely to actually hit you, and the survivability on this is phenomenal. I wish I actually had a bit more I don't know, maybe a bit more armor, because it is a strike craft and the Russians have armored certain parts of this aircraft. I don't know. I think it's a fantastic aircraft. I mean, gorgeous for sure. And I wish I could fly one, but I can't. So, yeah, unfortunate there. So, this plane comes in at a very hefty price tag. And I do have 2 of these, but I do wonder if maybe I should cut down to 1. But that might diminish the purpose of having an air power sort of deck, because obviously you do want to just keep the airstrikes coming. This is not used for deep strikes at all. If you try to go deep with it, you will probably get shot down by a Patriot, almost guaranteed. 5% ECM is not that much, and I can't afford the ECM pods again. So again, and also just make it way too expensive. 470 points is just too much. 420 is too much, but these will absolutely save your skin if you see a big armored push. Now, a lot of people set them up with air-to-ground missiles with those KH-38s, and I absolutely respect that. That is a really good option. But for me, this works a lot better. And again, it's almost guaranteed to hit, although annoyingly with the update, they've made the lock-on time, the sort of aiming time, which is ridiculous, you know, because it's, for the pilot in reality, it's one button to drop the bombs, you know, you don't need a very long aiming or arming time for dumb bombs, which is what they are. They are just good old-fashioned drop bombs. So it's annoying that to change target, you have to, it's a lot harder, right? And the plane might go around, which is really frustrating when it happens. So the update, I'm really not a fan of 1.09. As you guys, you know, if you're a regular viewer, you definitely know that already. But otherwise, you see a big armored push, this is absolutely your go-to guy. And this guy will destroy the vehicles, it'll destroy the AMPVs, and then also burn alive any infantry that are left out in the open. So yeah, fantastic bit of kit. Now, I do need to give some very honorable mentions, because there's some fun, sensational options here in this deck. So, this Su-33, for starters, you can set it up to be one of the absolute cheapest fighters in the game. So you can set it up with this little layout. Let's have a look at infrared and short range. 255, and you get 3 different types of missiles firing at the same time. Yeah, brilliant stuff. You can also, wait, if I remember correctly. Yeah, no. Yeah, you want this option because it's also fire and forget. So yeah, you get a variety of missiles there. So very good, cheap fighter. Now, obviously no ECM, so its survivability is pretty low, and the fact that you're going in very close range to shoot anything doesn't make it very survivable. But, you know, that's one of those things where you weigh up whether you want, how many missiles is that? 8 missiles or 4? And I've gone for the 4 long range ones as opposed to 8 short range ones, and that's the decision that I've made here. Plus the 5% ECM, of course, which is the 5 points. Right, so yeah, Su-33 is a great option. What else is a fantastic option for? Oh, sorry, you put it empty. Yeah, it makes it 225. That's what you do. Yeah, I forgot about that. So, yeah, perfect. Like, literally 6 missiles, 3 firing at the same time. Great stuff. What you can also do is put these big boy rockets on. Now, these rockets, I don't want to say work every time, but if you put a strafing run, again, for 200 points, very cheap, if you put a, maybe I will adjust this deck to have a bit more variety, because this is fantastic, but more variety might be better. I don't know. So far, I've been loving this setup, but yeah. These things will fire 4 rockets? I mean, I see 6 rockets, so what the hell is going on there? Is that a bug? Okay, there's 4 pods, but there is 6 rockets. Okay, yeah, so these pods will not fire at the same time. They'll fire in sequence, whereas these, they're separate pods. They will fire at the same time. Anyway, so these rockets are just normal HE rockets, unguided. However, when you strafe a bit of ground, they actually do a huge amount of damage to vehicles. I mean, 340 penetration from the top with 17 damage is huge. That can one-shot an Abrams. Obviously the cheaper Abrams, but still. Yeah, so highly recommend giving it a go. You know what? Yeah, let's put this in. I do want to try this out a bit better. These are fantastic, but yeah, the frequency of their use might not be worth having two of them. Not sure. So yeah, we're going to jig that around a little bit. Okay. What else is an honorable mention? So the Su-57, huge fan of it, but I'm a huge fan of it in the air-to-ground configuration. So you still get some Sidewinders or R-73s, which is the Russian equivalent. Great paint scheme. I mean, who the hell thought of this should get a promotion, right? But these air-to-ground missiles are actually fantastic. And look, they're basically just like this budget option, apart from they're guided. The hit probability is fantastic. The penetration is great. They can't be active protection stopped. I don't think these can either, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I am almost 100% sure that they can't be stopped. The range is good enough, especially when you've got a bit of stuff in this aircraft. You've got 20% ECM by stock, and this works pretty damn well as well. What you can also do is put them in the anti-radiation. So hold fire, pop up to try and pop a tank, and these will deploy at the same time at close range, meaning that they are pretty likely to destroy any enemy radar as well. So yeah, would be great to have this in the deck too. Obviously not maxing out the points as much as I had. Now, I would love to get a Tu-160 and potentially with a nuke, but you know, that's just way too expensive. I quite like the diversity of aircraft. Nukes are great, but that's a different deck that I've got built for that. Another honorable mention is the Yak-38, and essentially the whole point of that is to trade with helicopters. So Guardians, they cost about 300 points, so this will shoot a Guardian down for 200 points, and this will get shot down itself, but that is, you know, if you're a bit desperate, this is what you would use. So obviously can't afford it right now, but a good option, a very good option indeed. Now, Tu-142, so the bear bomber, the one you see on the news that's patrolling the British coastline and whatever, they're just doing routine flights. We do the exact same thing to the Russians, the Americans do it, everybody does it, and it's nothing to be scared of. For 450 points, you get 8 cruise missiles. Now, these cruise missiles are weak. They're the same ones that you get in the Katrans. Not a fan, but it's a good option. 8 missiles, you know, firing at 10-kilometer range. Big boy bomb is fantastic. You can actually put that on the Su-34, can't you? Where is it? Yep, Su-34 can fit it as well, which is cool, considering the... Yeah, both Fab 3000s, aren't they? Yeah. But they're different. 150, 110, 150, okay. Interesting that they're the same bomb, but for some reason it's a little bit more expensive on here. Anyhow, what I wanted on here was, what did I have? Oh, yeah, the clusters. Where are they? There we go. Yeah, so I don't think that's particularly worth it, especially with this thing being pretty slow. Good amount of health, but no ECM, so we'll eventually get shot down depending on how deep you try to put it. I'm not a fan of putting these bombs on, these dumb bombs. The only configuration you should really have it is in the cluster missiles. So yeah, a good option for cheap clusters. This as well has got a good option here. So yeah, these are your two options, right? And these missiles just are a bit better, to be honest, which is why they're more expensive. So yeah, very good options there. The MiG-35 can do a seed function. It can also do, well, quite a wide variety of functions, to be fair. MiG-29 is your other budget fighter option, where you can put fuel tanks, you can put R-77s, and you get 6 missiles, although they will not be firing at the same time. You'll get 2 firing at the same time at pretty medium long and very short range. So I don't really see the purpose of this aircraft unless you don't have any other choice. MiG-35, I do see the merits to it, but it is such a small fuel tank that I'd rather have the Su-57. I know people say that for strike craft fuel isn't important, but it is quite good to have an aircraft loiter, and when it's loitering, that means that, you know, you just get to use it at a better time, so you don't commit it immediately, and, you know, you might just have this floating for a bit longer to kill someone a bit later, and that fuel is just ridiculously small. So yeah, not my favorite option. I much prefer the Su-57. So there we go. That is the air deck. I've spent more than long enough talking about this. Let's see, how long have I been recording for? 19 minutes just talking about aircraft. I mean, it is air power, but I will try to speed it up just so this video isn't ridiculously long and talk about some of the other stuff that I have. So Catrans, they have the anti-radiation missiles. I was just messing around with that, trying to see how it works. Not a fan at all. Their range is too short, so they're better in the cruise missile configuration, just to give yourself a bit of extra cruise missiles if you wish. Not that I use these a lot at all. These ATGMs are great because they are they top-down attack? Yes, they are. Huge amount of damage, very good missile. Insane penetration, I mean, well, but these don't ripple fire, so actually you're better off having the Alligator. Whoa, not in the Vickers. Yeah, not in the Attacker, in the Vickers. You definitely want Vickers on them, and these can go back to cruise missiles. Mi-28, I'm actually a huge fan of these now. I wasn't the biggest fan, but they've really grown on me. So these bad boys with their Lima missiles are phenomenal. Actually phenomenal. So they just work really well, and against other helicopters they work fantastic too, because of the double Iglas which fire at the same time. You're actually better off having these as a pair. And you know what, I want to chop a Catran. There we go. So always adjusting my decks. Right, 470 points, you know, this could actually be my cheap flanky option, but maybe the Mi-24 would be better for that, especially as it's got those, I don't know. You know what? The armor and the ECM makes this a great cheap flanky helicopter. So yeah, I'm going to keep that for the time being. This is quite a good option now. Right, I've got a cheap transport helicopter in there, basically just for supply. I'm barely ever going to send this in to do troop drops, because obviously if it gets shot down, which is pretty likely, it's not the strongest heli, then yeah, you lose all of that, which is not worth it in my opinion. So there you go, there's the helicopter deck. So like I said, the Alligator with the Vickers, so basically these two firing at the same time, that's a lot of damage that you can do there. Can't afford the Iglas on it as well. Never mind, Mikhailich has got more than enough. The Sport Tab, so S350, I've only got one of these because, why do I have only one of these? Yeah, because the purpose is that I have a lot of air power, and that this is just gonna, you know, the range on it isn't great. So yeah, Pansirs are better in my opinion for, how do I put this? I prefer to have short range anti-air in this deck than long range, but I see the merit of having one. They are very expensive, which is why I don't have two of them, and that's basically it. Got the Speedy Kamaz VDV for dropping off 14 troops. That's why I keep it there, so you can have 3 squads in there, or 2 squads in supply. So yeah, great vehicle. I do rate these. This is for the big supply dump. Not sure that I ever really need it. Maybe just for the Vityaz. Pansirs, like I said, I love the Pansir. I think it's fantastic. Honestly, you get 3 kilometers of anti-helicopter and, well, anti-aircraft range and anti-missile range too. These are just amazing. Tor is really good too, by the way. For 200 points, that's fine, but I prefer the Pansier all day long, to be honest. The Drock, this is my little smoke machine. Mostly smoke, as you can see. Rapid little smoke deployer. Just gives you a chance to save some of your infantry for 50 points. I mean, it's well worth it. Berig. Now, I've got this in the deck, to be honest, as a bit of a meme. It is an anti-helicopter configuration. As you can see, it can shot little birds, I think. Wait, how much is a little bird? How much? Oh, yeah, save the deck. Helicopter Special Forces. Little birds have 10 armor, 8 health. Yeah, it'll definitely one-shot a little bird. So, brilliant stuff there. It's just a meme. I haven't actually seen this used. Let's put some meme camo on it. I wish there's better camo, but yeah, this is why I have it in the deck for a bit of fun. Moving on to the vehicles. Like I said, this isn't the best deck for vehicles. T-80s, right. I've got it modernized, basically maxed out to the full to try and make it as healthy and as strong as possible. You definitely don't want it in this configuration. That armor is paper thin, and the survivability of this is negligible. It's fun to see James Bond driving one of these through the streets of St. Petersburg, though. So I've got it decked out to the max, making it kind of expensive, but, you know, you could survive happily with this configuration. I've just put a bit more on it, so yeah. And you know what, that's how I like it, so that's how I'm going to keep it. What I do have is these Toros 57 mils. Now, I didn't actually realize that the Derivace shoots anti-helicopter HE, basically 57mm cannons at 1,900 meter range, so that's something that's really cool. This fires at 1,400, and the T-57 Barbarous, T-15 Barbarous with the 57mm cannon only shoots it at 1,100, I think. Let me double check that again for you before I give you Duff Gen. Right, where is the Barbarous? There she is. Yeah, so 1,100 for HE. So I didn't realize that the range actually changed, because you'd think a gun is a gun, right? It shouldn't really... you know, the projectile will still fire the same from any gun depending on what vehicle it's mounted on. But, you know, they've done it like that for balancing and whatever, fair play to them. So these two T-80s that I have, obviously maximum armor, are supported by these Spruts. And these Spruts are literally there just to fire a few extra shells. They are not survivable at all. I could actually modernize them to have a bit more kinetic damage, well, penetration, but I don't think it's worth it. I quite like having them in their very cheap setup. Let's get through them. There we go. And essentially you just get, for the same price of one tank, you get 3 of these Spruts. So one to soak up the damage, hopefully not from helicopters, because no APS. This will be toast if a helicopter, if a Guardian, if an Apache sees it. So these Spruts are just to give it some firepower against other helicopters. Interesting that the Sprut can't keep up. It's only 70, whereas this is obviously 80. Cornet. I quite like the Cornet. It's not very survivable, very thin armor, but it does fire HE at infantry and it fires ATGMs at tanks. So I'm not really sure why I've got it in the deck. Maybe another Sprut would be better, but you know, we've got it in, and yeah, why not? We'll just keep testing it. The game is about having fun and testing stuff. So another honorable mention to the PT-76 with the 57mm gun. There we go. Same shorter range on the gun here as well. 85 points makes it pretty good, but the paper thin armor, even when you up armor it, it only puts the sides up. It just gives it a bit more HP, 1 HP. Absolutely not worth it in my opinion. I would rather have the Sprut or the Toros. So yeah, there you go. This is actually something that's potentially worth having in the Cornet setup. It's got 12 Cornets. How the hell is that? You know what? Yeah, that makes more sense to put these in. They're a lot quicker as well. Makes more sense to put these in, and I can take one of these out. Okay, there we go. Yeah, these are very good because not only do they have obviously a machine gun, grenade launcher, but the Cornet ripple firing is something that's really, really cool. And the fact that you get 12 of them is insane. How many does this get? Oh, 12 too, which is crazy. I mean, it's a much bigger vehicle, but here we are. There's the vehicles tab. Now, infantry. This is going to get a bit more interesting with the infantry coming up. So, Czarne Birety. Fantastic infantry. Great all-rounders. A lot of people say they're better with the thermal barrack launchers to make them basically assault troops. I disagree. I think the AGS 30 makes it better as not an assault troop, because obviously once you fire these 5 rockets, that's it, you're stuck to AKs. With good AKs with 7.62 rounds, and they do 3 damage, but you know, I'd much rather have this with the 2 machine guns and grenade launcher. I think that makes them just a bit more... what's the word? I don't know. I mean, I do see the merit to this, because obviously this can still take apart light vehicles. So I do see the merit there. And 7 AKs, the more powerful AKs, is a very formidable thing as well. But I think, yeah, if I want them to take apart, I want something else to rip apart vehicles for me, and that's the Morskaya Piechota with their RPG-27. So, yeah, I'm going to keep them for anti-infantry, and the Morskaya Piechota is my anti-tank kind of thing. So, let's talk some more. Double Cornets on the VDV. You know what? You don't need the Cornet. The Cornet on its own is more than good enough. Actually, I am going to change it to here. A lot cheaper as well. When there's 2 firing, the range of 1,600 versus 1,800 is kind of insignificant because the enemy will probably smoke off. Both the missiles will probably miss. So it doesn't really matter. Desantniki, again, more of a general all-rounder squad. I'm not sure I should have so many of them. Instead, Morskaya Piechota, I should have more of those, for sure. Because of these are just all-rounders, you know, whereas it is better in this game to have more specialized. So this is obviously anti-tank, but they're pretty good anti-infantry too, and this is very specialized anti-infantry. I've got a cheap budget option for the Metis just because I want the HMG with the 800 meter range. I don't know, just some fire support. These boys are great. These are my anti-tank jump out boys. So you put them in a vehicle. Probably not, I mean, this for transport, but you can get 3 squads into this. So you put, that's why I've got 6. 50 points, so cheap. 2 RPGs, hopefully 1 firing from each side, so at least you'll hit the front and back, or, you know, both side armors. So that's 4 RPGs, or again, if you take 3 squads, that's 6 RPGs firing at a target. These are great. Decent health, decent armor, and they're, like I said, they're actually pretty decent against infantry as well. So for 50 points, you really can't go wrong with these boys. They are fantastic. Good bit of infantry. The vehicles, they have got the BMP-3s. Very good. Do I not have the Shora? I don't have the Shora jammer on it, which is silly. You should have that on. You don't need the extra weapons package. They're absolutely fine. With just the default gun. Very good vehicle. I should probably bring in, you know what, yeah, let's do this and let's do this. You should bring in more of these guys. Got a BMD-4 as well. Basically same as this, just worse, to be honest. Less machine guns, less armor. I don't really know why this is in the deck, it's just cheaper. And it can only take 5 men, whereas this can take 7. But it has got higher optics, ooh, win. And it's got the higher missile range by default with the higher damage. I mean, yeah, not really sure. It's a bit more accurate too. Anyway, these are much better. Use these if you can. So, yeah. The BT-3F is for bringing in troops. Very cheap option. 2 squads of Morskaya Piechota in there. So, yeah. Brilliant. I forgot to mention the Igla. Not a fan of the Igla at all. This squad is a bit terrible in my opinion. It's weak against infantry. This really isn't good. And it's weak against aircraft because it's only got 3 anti-air missiles. So yeah, this is probably the biggest downside to this deck is the lack of man-pads. The lack of decent man-pads. Which is why I've got 2 of these to back it up with, you know, Iglas and an anti-aircraft cannon on top. So yeah, shortfalls of this deck is the anti-helicopter and close range anti-air capabilities, which are backed up by the Panzer, which again re-emphasizes why I prefer to have 2 of these as opposed to 2 of these. Let's talk about Recon. Spetsnaz. I do love these Spetsnaz. Again, very, very good anti-infantry bit of kit. You do want them in, hold on, the RPG, okay, that's pretty good as well. Okay, but anyway, this is the CQB format, and I like them in CQB because 60 points, very good amount of firepower for this little 5-man squad. Again, if you couple these Spetsnaz with these, you know, anti-armor dedicated RPGs, it just works really well. These 2 together are great. These 2 together are great as well, but not as good as the VDV, the Shah. The Shah stands for Szturmowiki, by the way. Fun fact. I've got these cheap little Typhoon VDVs for transport. They are just basically, you know, if I need just 1 cheap squad. But usually I use the Kamaz because obviously they can fit in a lot more people and supplies. So these are literally just there just to pick up pilots, to be honest. Mainly. I only need 1, to be honest. Yeah. But I could stick a cannon on it, which would make it really good for openers. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put a bit of firepower on them. Ah, but then what do I have for my cheap pickup? This. Okay. Ah, but I'm over budget in this tab. How annoying. Right, okay. We should stop fanning about and talk more about what I've got in this deck. So, yeah, VDV Spetsnaz, a big fan. Very good at killing enemy infantry and very good at recon, which is what you have there, fighting recon. The snipers, they are in their suppressed configuration because I actually want them just to snipe and not engage anyone. these are literally just for eyes, for that slightly longer range, the higher stealth. They're kind of expensive. You know what? I might just only use Spetsnaz and Razvedka. You know, the 250 meters of range. Is that really worth it? Probably not, you know. Especially for the price tag. So 60 versus 85 if you just want eyes. Anyway, that's a decision for you guys to make, whether you want that. Definitely don't need 2 of them, do I? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. Some more points to be made up. Right. Morskaya Razvedka. Really, really good bit of infantry. Very good fighting recon infantry, which is why I've got 4 of them. They have very good firepower. These machine guns will kill infantry pretty comfortably. These squads are actually very similar to... Let's pin this and have a look at the Morskaya Piechota. Very similar in a lot of aspects. The Razvedka has 2 less RPGs, but otherwise the firepower is pretty much the same. Now the damage is higher, interestingly, because of the suppressors. Not sure how that works, because these weapons are basically the exact same. And higher damage here. But again, suppressed, so it's got less penetration, which is interesting. But, you know, that's how the game has balanced it. So both squads are fantastic. This is more fantastic against tanks. This is more fantastic against infantry. How you play it is up to you. Obviously, the higher stealth makes this squad a lot, and well, the lower HP due to the lower men makes it sort of a bit of a trade-off. So yeah, that's a decision you guys have to make. But I'm a big fan of these. I'm a bigger fan of the BTR 90s, who you can carry in 7-man squads. Obviously, they used to be 6. The update increased it. I mean, yeah, what a buff. Just 1 extra man. But in all fairness, it does mean that you can take the Morskaya Piechota as opposed to the Morskaya Razvedka. But these BTR 90s are literally fantastic. Look at that. Grenade launcher, machine gun, cannon, and a cornet. All for 100 points. With decent armor, and it can swim. So, yeah, the armor is okay for a BTR. The health is okay as well. So this vehicle, I'm a mega huge fan of it. As you might have seen me do some Lima special flanky boy maneuvers in it. And yeah, that's what they are great at. Just a great all-round vehicle. Couldn't recommend this thing more if I tried. Now, I do have an Orion with its Civi paint scheme. It's kind of interesting. I mean, paint schemes are obviously subjective, quite like the military. Apparently this company that makes Orions is going bust, which is really crazy during a war. Like an arms manufacturer or like, you know, a weapon system manufacturer going bust during a war is just kind of close to unheard of. I've got them just as a drone setup for droning only. I don't actually need 2 of them. Upgraded the sensors, don't have any weapons on them, and I'm quite happy with that. There are some other very good options in the Recon deck. So, I also talked about the VDV Razvedka. They are basically like these guys, but with a more powerful RPG. Yeah. So, again, these 2 together, very good stealthy squad, but I think I potentially would rather have these guys, because 2 RPGs, and yeah, you do lose the stealth, but you get some decent firepower as well. Right, now the other options that we have, PDSS, very funky team. Yeah, very funky indeed. I mean, it's cool that they can swim. They're the only unit that infantry unit that can swim, which makes it just kind of more of a gimmick. You don't really use it in battle, but yeah, they're fun to use. They're fun to use, and it's tempting to have them in the squad, but I don't really need it. Spetsnaz VMF. Now, this is a very interesting one, because obviously 6-man, right? It's a very, how do we put this? It's got good firepower, but the firepower is not really useful. And if you try to put it in the fire support option, which does make it very powerful, you know, 250 cals firing at the same time, it does make it very powerful, but it just sort of, you know, what's the point? 150 points for a squad that's only got 30 health, you know, a 6-man squad. That's a super expensive option. I don't really see the point. Like, Spetsnaz GRU with bazookas and an AA costs the same. So why on earth would you have this squad? I don't really get it. It's more of a gimmick, like I said. Not really sure why people have it. It's got good firepower as an assault squad in this setup too, and I completely see the merit. don't think it's really worth it. What's the caliber of those? 545. Cool. Yeah, not really my cup of tea, these two squads. They're great in some aspects, but I don't think they're worth it. You don't send a recon squad to storm a building, do you? You send in Delta Force or a dedicated CQB squad like engineers, which again, I don't have in this deck either. Are they even an option? I don't think so. Yeah. Right, vehicles. You could have this. I actually will have some of these in because I quite like them. They're just fun to use. Do I need this vehicle with the enhanced optics? Probably not. It's only 2,000, not 2,400, which is what we'd aim for. Like this. But it's pretty slow and not really effective at that point. Could have the Machina, but again, it's slow and I don't really see the point, you know, it doesn't have any firepower, it's not a striker RV. So yeah, this is pretty much how I have the deck. These are just to try and do some flanky stuff. Could do that, that might make it a bit more fun to use, but again, paper thin armor, so you just go for something else like this instead, you know. The price is pretty similar, so yeah, all in all, this is a very fun deck to use. I find Russia in general has much more varied decks, much more variety. Like American decks are still good to use, but they're sort of samey. They get a bit repetitive, whereas Russia's got a lot of good variety and a lot of different play styles that you can use. Like America does with special forces and armor, but you know, it's just not as... Russia has some wild units out there, and that's a result of the Soviet Union and their crazy programs that they would have had, as well as Russia transforming to Russia. So yeah, and Putin's initiative with the you know, the Terminator, the T-14, the Barbarous program, that's all thrown a few extra units in there. So yeah, with the Alligator as well, that's a very futuristic helicopter, to be honest. Very cutting edge. The only helicopter in the world, the only attack helicopter in the world to have ejection seats for its pilots, which is really cool too. You know, that's rare for the Soviet Union to look after their men like that. But you know, that's how it works. I forgot to say that on the Alligator as well, I do have these gun pods as opposed to HE rockets, and that's because they shred helicopters like there's absolutely no tomorrow. Now you do have to get very close range to fire them, but if these are together or supported by, you know, Iglas, they become fantastic. As soon as they get within range of a helicopter, these guns and the cannon will absolutely rip it apart. So yeah, really cool. But yeah, this is the deck. It's a lot of fun to use. It's up to you whether you want to have two Su-34s and Su-30s as opposed to these aircraft. That is entirely up to you. I highly recommend both, to be honest. Yeah, both work really well. So, however you build this deck, this is sort of these videos that I make are designed to give you a bit of inspiration, you know. You make this deck your own. You decide what works best for you. This is just a little template. And if you like it, then please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. If you think you should change something, then let me know in the comments below, and I would absolutely love to hear your opinions, or, you know, any features that you think that I've overlooked or haven't talked about enough. So yeah, do let me know. I look forward to reading your comments, and I want to thank you for watching. Like, this channel's been doing pretty well, and you guys are a huge part of that. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.